the Product Marketing Director from New Skin Corporate Office. So JC has a very strong background in user experience design, product and strategy design, and the neuroscience. So he is actually involving in the new skin Prysm IO app development. And today he is going to actually provide you with the updates of the Prysm IO app and some of the exciting features that is designed to enhance the user experience. So he will also talk about the best practices in the Prysm score. And I see comments, questions are coming in asking about scan variants, and Jesse is the best person to actually address this question. So without further ado, let's welcome Jesse. Hello, Jesse.
Hi there. Thank you so much. I
Thank
love
you.
I love love getting on and talking about Prism and seeing the excitement. It's so good to see everyone's excitement and what the power of this tool can do for everybody. This is an exciting time, I think, for our company, for all of us, right? As we are bringing in this new technology, something that we have a strong history in, right? When we think about the S1, S2, S3 scanner, we have the longest history, more than anyone, of measuring carotenoids in the skin, and I think we are taking it to the next level with Prism. Um, and like Fionn said, we are always looking at how to improve upon our ability to measure something that's very difficult in the skin. Carotenoids are found in such small concentrations that we are really trying to measure a very, very difficult target in the skin. Imagine for a second that you took a spoonful of Coca-Cola and you poured it into a swimming pool. And now you're trying to take measurements of the water in the swimming pool to see what the concentration of Coca-Cola is in that swimming pool at different times. You think about how difficult that would be to measure that small amount of concentration. You're not going to get the exact same value every single time, but you're going to get something close, right? And so when we talk about precision and accuracy with the Prism, and this was no different with the BioPhotonic Scanner back in the day, there is always going to be a level of variation, right? And this is just common across all sorts of technical devices, medical devices, any kind of device that is measuring biological tissue, concentrations is going to have a level of variation. And so when we built the Prism, we first wanted to make sure that we were focusing on precision, and that's getting consistence, right? So you're getting the same kind of scores each time when you're measuring carotenoids. And then accuracy, making sure that we're measuring in the right place and we're not, measuring way off in left field somewhere, but we actually have a good true value of what level of carotenoids are in your skin. And so these two things are very, very important. But I want to talk a little bit about how we can really increase our precision and our accuracy as we continue to use this device. And there's some things we can do to kind of help mitigate some of the variation that we can see with the device. And it's really important, first and foremost, to understand that even if you do everything right and you follow all these directions, you're still going to see plus or minus 10% variation. And so it's always good to understand that the score is going to vary just a little bit when you scan over and over and over again. But some things that can really help mitigate that and make sure that your score is more consistent and more precise is making sure to always prepare the right way, right? So I brought up this slide here. This is called the 3P process that will really help as you're scanning different people. First, make sure you're always prepping the right way. You don't want to have anything on your fingers, okay? If you just ate an orange, you probably don't want to scan without washing your hands first. So make sure you go and wash your hands, make sure it's completely clean. You don't have any markers or pencil or something, on the skin that's going to interfere with the reading. Also, make sure to clean the lens. Every prism comes with a microfiber cloth, and that cloth is in there for a reason because we would like you to actually clean the lens each time you scan so that that lens is nice and clean. And then also making sure to calibrate regularly. If you're about to scan a bunch of people, it would be a really good idea to calibrate your device to ensure that it's reading correctly before you start. Applying the right pressure is also really good. You don't want to push too hard, and you don't want to be too light either. You want to put a consistent amount of pressure that's even, that fully covers the lens, but not too hard at the same time. Make sure you do the same finger every time. There's a reason why you have to do the same finger, and this is the same reason why on the BioPhotonic scanner we always said to scan the exact same place every time, because the way your body distributes nutrients is going to be the same in one area but different in another, right? And so it's going to distribute carotenoids throughout the body in different ratios. And so if you consistently scan the same finger every single time, that will help you actually stay on a good progression track and you're not jumping around as you track your score over time. So make sure you always stay consistent with that. The position, some people I've seen trying to scan, while just holding it like this in their hand, that might result in some variation if you're holding it up, but if you put it on a flat level surface like a desk or a table, that really helps mitigate some of the light leakage. Um, Also making sure to scan indoors. When outside you might get some interference with bright sunlight. So making sure to do that, and then also holding still while you're scanning so that your finger doesn't move off the lens at all, will also help. These things have really helped. We've seen in a lot of different cases, and so some great tips to actually keep track of. This is another kind of a similar concept, but how to scan for consistent results. And this is the same kind of thing as the 3Ps, but making sure to prep, like I talked about, prepping your finger, prepping your device, making sure your position and pressure are consistent and even, holding still, and then seeing better results that way. So these are just some ways to also help with mitigating that variance. This is one video we had where Nathan Fisk, he's one of our scientists that works on the same floor as me, actually, across the way. And he's showing here, he's kind of demonstrating how to clean your device in a more effective way. So let me just push play here.
Many people ask, how can I clean my Prysm device? The simple answer is using a microfiber cloth. Do a few short circles on the glass lens of the device. These are objects that people shouldn't be using to clean their device, as they may damage the anti-reflective coating of the glass. Things such as Kleenex, cotton swabs, makeup pads, napkins, or washcloths, or your shirt, or your pants. They may be more convenient, but they could damage the anti-reflective coating, which may cause your device to have a change in performance.
So yeah, make sure, please do not use your pants to clean the device. That's something that's probably very tempting for people to do, is to take the device and just clean it off with something that's just laying around somewhere. But as Nathan explained here, that could actually scratch that lens. And so making sure to use the microfiber cloth is really important as well, so that you don't scratch the lens as you're cleaning it.
Many
Another thing is just making sure we have the right finger placement. This is a good thing to do with your customers, is to just cover what area of the finger we are scanning, making sure they see that it is that pad part of the finger, and that it's not the fingertip. That won't cover it all the way, but it has to be the pad of the finger there. And so this is just a video kind of showing different angles of covering that lens to making sure it is completely covered. And in each case, you can see the device is on a flat surface. Okay, calibration. We have this video, it's available, but it just walks you through the calibration process. When we first launched the device, we noticed that some people weren't actually calibrating it correctly. And so we created this video to kind of help people just see the whole process. When you come in here, there's that microfiber cloth again, that comes with your device. That's the first step, is to Okay, first you're going to go into settings, actually, if you want to calibrate. When you go into settings, there's this button called Calibrate Device. Click that there, and then that lets you get started. Now you're going to wipe it off with that microfiber cloth, which then lets you start by putting your 4-digit code in. In the future, this is going to be a lot easier to do. We're going to actually let you save the device or the calibration disk on the app so that you don't have to enter that 4-digit code every time. And then you're ready. So the first thing to make sure you do is you do the dark side first. Okay, that can be confusing sometimes, but it's always dark first and then the color side second. Okay, watch that animation. It's showing you to flip it. After you've done the dark and then you do the color side, then you're just going to do a finger check, right? So you take it off, let the app know that you're ready to do your finger scan, and then put your finger on just like that. And this finger scan is really just for you to kind of check to see how it's doing one last time before you start scanning people. There you go. And that's how you calibrate. Pretty simple. It's 3 scans, dark, colored side, and then finger. Okay, so next part of what I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to actually be jumping into the app a little bit here. And I want to kind of demo the current app. For those of you that may not be familiar with the app, or maybe that you're new to Prysm, we're going to walk through how the app is really designed to help you get a customer from their first scan to understanding what their score means, what kind of things they can do to improve it, and then what kind of products they can get on right away to actually help. And so that's something that we're going to walk through. And so let me just stop sharing here, and I'm going to bring up my phone, which may take just a second. All right. I'm going to get rid of my face there. All right. So this is the Prysm app. When you get in here, you'll be able to connect your device pretty easily. It walks you through the process to get it connected and calibrate it. And like I said, calibration is important. You don't have to calibrate it every single time you scan. I would calibrate it at least every week if you can. But if you feel like it might be scoring off, just go ahead and do another calibration. But you could do it every 1 to 2 weeks, and you'd probably be fine. It also reminds you if you ever need a calibration, like if it can tell it's been too long, it'll actually have a banner that pops up on the screen that tells you, hey, go ahead and calibrate your device. And so what I would recommend is calibrate regularly, maybe, once every 1 or 2 weeks. But if you're going to scan a whole bunch of people one day, I would just do a calibration before just to be safe. So you'll notice a couple buttons on here down at the bottom. There's Scan Myself, Scan a Guest. The Scan Myself is really intended for you as the operator, right? We don't want to bring your scans in and mix them with your guest scans. Your guest is going to be your customers, your clients, your friends, other people. These are going to be the people that you're going to be educating and helping them live better lives by understanding what their score is, right? So to scan yourself, you just click that left button. It's going to right away ask you to put your finger on the device. And I'm just putting my finger on right now, putting even pressure. And as it gets through the scan, takes about 15 seconds. Okay, looks like my score actually went up a little bit from last time. That's great. When you get in here, the first thing it's going to try and do is educate you on what your score means. Okay, so you have your score at the top here, but if you scroll down, you'll be able to see right away, okay, you scored in the blue. And it will kind of give you some information about what that score means, right? It means you really have more like that level of carotenoids in your skin. So if you're in the red and orange range, it's usually because there's something associated with it. It could be your nutrition, it could be your lifestyle, it could be your fitness or supplementation, where you're maybe not getting enough nutrients in your diet, or you're having too much free radical exposure. There are lots of different factors that can actually play into your score. And so the intent of this screen is to really help people understand what's causing those effects. When you go to the next tab over called recommended, this is where it's going to actually look at a few things. It's going to look at your score. It's going to look at your Prysm profile if you filled it out already, and give you a recommendation based on that information. So right now it's obviously recommending LifePak as a foundational product. This is our flagship foundational product that's going to help us boost our nutrition overall. But then it might also recommend some other things, like here it's saying, you know, maybe you need to work out more. So it's just probably true. I don't get enough activity based on that. And then also probably based on my age and some other factors, it's recommending youth. And you can kind of choose some options, or you can go to all the products to kind of view lots of different options for helping with sleep or microbiome, or you know, there's all sorts of products in here that you can look at. So this is really more of a personal journey for the user. So this is for each of you as you get the Prysm device and trying it for yourself. When you're done, you can click done. Now, scanning a guest is a little bit different. There's a couple of different flows that you can go through with scanning a guest. And if you click that little gear icon in the top right corner, it's going to bring up like a different couple modes you can use to scan people. The first one is called Info Scan. And that's this one right here. If you are scanning people and you want to collect their first and last name and email so that they can save their score for later and they can track it over time, this is a great option. So you're going to be collecting their first and last name, email, or phone number, depending on what market you're in. And then they actually get their score in an email after the scan. And then when they come back later, they can actually see how their score changed over time because it will save their score for them. So that's a really good and effective way to actually help people see their improvement. OpenScan is a little different in that it's a completely anonymous scan. So that we don't know who you're scanning when you're doing this scan. So it's not going to ask for any information. You can do it completely anonymously. But if at the end of the scan, they tell you, I want more information, you can actually assign the scan to them at that time and save it so that you can then track it and they can get it in their email as well. So let's just go through info scan real fast to show you what that view is. I'm going to put it in info mode. I'm going to start a guest scan here. And you can see I already have a bunch of people I've scanned in the past. But if I want to add a new person, I just come in here, enter their name. And then an email address. And then I can go ahead and continue. Now, there will be some privacy information they'll need to, some consents they'll have to fill out, just because as we collect information, we need to make sure we're protecting people's privacy. The first three are required. The last one is optional. And here we go. I'm going to go ahead and scan my customer. And as you're scanning them, you can tell them a little bit about what the scanner does, or the Prysm does, what it's measuring, how we're picking up on carotenoids, and why carotenoids are so important. And then this is kind of the same exact thing we just went through with our own scan, but you have information about what the score means. You can talk to them about the importance of that. And then this next part, when you go into recommended, as you're scanning people for the first time, it's actually going to ask them, do you want to answer some questions? We call this the Prysm profile. And the reason why this is important is because as you get that recommendation afterwards, it's going to be more geared towards them and personalized if they've answered these questions. If they don't answer the questions, then it's going to be more of a generic recommendation. And so I'm going to say, yes, I want to answer these questions. And so it's going to first take you here to tell you about some of the questions we're going to be asking about general questions, fitness, lifestyle, nutrition, supplementation. And you can just jump right in and start answering some of these questions real quick. Put in a birth date, put in your gender, and then some of these other questions, your weight, and then your height, how often you work out, which is really important. Sun exposure. Shelley talked about this and how important it is to make sure we're not getting too much sun exposure. If you smoke tobacco, that's another factor. How much sleep you get. This is another factor that does influence, stress and other things in our lives that could produce free radicals. How many servings of fruits and vegetables do we get each day? These are all really good, important questions. And then, products you're taking right now. Um, and then how often you're taking them, which is really important as well. If you're taking them 1 time a day versus 2 times a day, that actually influences your score. So now after I finish it, it's going to take me back to the recommendation. The AI is going to start to analyze everything, and then it produces the recommendation here. Okay, so you can see that it's now recommending Beauty Focus to me. It probably saw a picture of me and thought, yeah, we got to help this guy out, make him look a little better. I didn't put a lot of hours of sleep on there, and you can see right away I put less than like 6 or less hours, and now it's recommending nighttime, to me to help with my sleep. So really cool stuff there. As we enter a certain question, answer questions in a certain way, it's going to start to recommend. But let's say that you as the leader say these were great recommendations, but me personally, I really like a certain product that I would love to recommend to you. You can go into this custom tab over here on the right, and you can actually say, hey, I actually really like, Pharmanex M Smart. This product I would love to just recommend to you. And you can see that in all the products offers here, there's this quick share option. So anytime you get a recommendation for your customer or your guest, you can actually create an offer right here, just similar to Stella. You can offer discounts and different things. And then you click that quick share and it will bring up the share sheet, and you can text it to them, you can email it to them, you can send it however you like. That way you are in control, and all the attribution is in there. So if you share something from the Prysm app and you're logged into the Prysm app, all that attribution is going to be carried back to you, whether you recommend a custom product recommendation, or say you go into just the AI and you want to go ahead and share that recommendation, you can send an offer that way as well. So a really good way of getting from a scan to understanding what the score means to now let's send you an offer that you can actually check out on your own phone, and get the products going to you right away. So let's go ahead and push done there. Now, I talked about the two different modes. We did an info scan mode. Let's try an open scan now. Okay, and you can see the difference here. If I push scan a guest, right away, it's not asking me for any information. It's just going to start a scan. Okay, so I can actually just jump right in. If I'm at a party and I just want someone to see what their score is without collecting any information, we can have them just jump in and start scanning right away. And what's cool about this mode is even when they're done, let's say they get their score, you tell them about what their score means. You get them a recommendation here. And let's say that they're like, hey, this is really cool. I'd love for you to send that score to me. How do I get that score? One way you can do that is that assign scan button up at the top left corner. Okay, so you haven't collected any information yet, but they're interested. They want to learn more. So you click that assign scan button, and now you can actually add a new scannee. You can put their name in, their email, and then go ahead and submit it. And that will save it to your history tab. And then it will also send them their score. And then when they come back and scan again a few months later after they've been on product for a while, you can go ahead and track that in the history tab here. So the history tab is the last tab on the right. This is where we track all of our personal scans. So if I go to my scans, these are scans I've done on the device. These are scannees here. So these are people that your guests, people that you've scanned. You can come in here and check them out and say, oh, let's see how Jay was doing. I remember he got a 460. Let's go up to his profile and see his information. Okay, I can reach out and contact him. Maybe I want to view his profile to see what he answered in there, and I can kind of go through and just view his answers. So a lot of great ways to just help you stay informed on the people you're scanning and helping, and you can see what was recommended to them. And so this is just a way of tracking that. This is why it's really valuable to collect that information, that name and email, because then it ends up in here. If you don't collect it, say you scanned someone yesterday and you never collected their information, that's going to all end up in your unassigned scans. Now, say they text you later and say, hey, can you send me that score that you gave me? You say, yeah, absolutely. You go in here, you find their score. You can go ahead and click this little icon with the person right there, and that will let you then go ahead and assign it to them. And then they'll get the email. Then you can save them as a scannee. And so we want to make it really easy for you guys to just keep track of everyone you're scanning, whether you collect it or not, and whether they wanted information later or upfront. So that's the main way that we want people to flow through the app. It's really all about helping you connect with people, giving them recommendations, helping them see their score, and then we really want them to come back eventually, right? If you get someone on a product, if they get some LifePak and they're on it for 30 or 60 days, the key is to get them to come back and scan again, because if they can see how it's making a difference in their lives, they're going to be a customer for life, right? And it's going to help them in the long run. It's going to improve their life. It's going to improve their well-being. And so we are all about, helping produce solutions, right? There's a lot of issues with diet and nutrition, and we are about providing solutions to those problems. So, with that said, I think we're going to move back here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay, let me go back to the slide deck here. All right. Another feature that we just introduced with the latest release in 1.4 is an ability for customers to now log in. They will get a different experience. They will not be able to scan guests, but instead they will be scanning friends. So they'll have their own score, and then they can scan their friends. Now, this isn't going to be a prospecting tool for them to go and track their scores in the history, but rather they're just going to be able to scan them and share it with them through an email link. And so this is just kind of showing how after you scan a friend as a customer, you can go ahead and hit that share button and send them an email. And the email they get kind of looks like this over here on the right side, where it gives them their score, information about their score, and some different products that we offer. So really cool thing for customers to be able to do. They can scan themselves, but they can also kind of share the love with all their friends. Some frequently asked questions that we wanted to get through, and hopefully this helps answer some of the questions that we have today. But why is my score different on Prysm IO versus the PharmaNex BioPhotonic Scanner? This is a question we get a lot, and it's because we are just so used to that BioPhotonic Scanner, and the scales are very similar, but the scoring is different, okay? The BioPhotonic Scanner are two different technologies, okay? They use two different algorithms. And so when we measure and interpret data, it has its own scoring model and the way we calibrate it. So I would caution everyone not to compare the two. Some people do scan very similar on both, but that doesn't mean everyone will. Okay, so make sure when you're tracking on the Prysm, you start with a new score, and then you start to see your progress on the Prysm device going forward. Why does my Prysm score vary depending on what finger I scan? I talked about this earlier. It's all about those carotenoids being distributed differently in different parts of the body, just like each fingerprint is unique. And just so you know, we do not collect fingerprints. That's not part of the technology. There's nothing in the device that takes a picture or a map of your fingerprint. It's just light. We're just measuring light. Okay, so just to reassure anyone that might feel nervous about that. But yeah, like I said, scanning in the same place consistently on the same finger each time is key, and making sure your finger's clean each time. Why is my Prysm score fluctuating or showing unexpected results? The Prysm IO is a precise scientific measurement tool, and some natural variation will, like I said, plus or minus 10%. This is just normal variation that we're going to see in most measurement devices. This is very common in laboratory conditions, And so making sure that we have best practices and being consistent and do all the things that we talked about, those 3 Ps earlier, will really help making sure that your scores are more consistent and more precise. Can children be scanned with the Prysm IO? There's a couple different things you can do to help with children because their fingers are smaller. If the children are 3 to 7 years old, they can try their thumb instead, and that will help cover the lens a little bit better. But they just need to make sure they scan their thumb every time so they can help track that. But if they're under 3 years old, we do not recommend you scan them just because we don't have any products, first of all, to even provide for them. And second of all, their fingers probably won't cover the lens all the way. So you might not get a very accurate reading on those small fingers. Why can I trust the validity of this score? Well, we just have a really strong track record of doing this, right? We've been doing it for so long. And the reason we've been doing it for so long is because we've done it so well for so long. We've been able to actually establish really a firm basis and business using the scanner for the last 20 years. And so the Prysm is really built upon a lot of that learnings and technology and validation. And we use the S3 to help validate this technology. So we not only built it upon a vast history, but we also validated it using that history. And so we're really excited about the credibility that our company has with this technology. How often should I calibrate my Prysm IO device? This was another question I think that came up in the question and answer, but for best performance, we do recommend calibrating every 2 weeks. That's probably the most I would go. If you want to do it every week, that's great. But like I said, it's always good to even just scan right before a large event. If you're going to be scanning lots of people, just do it right before. But yeah, that answers that question. But that's the end of my section right there. But yeah, this has been really fun. Let me know, Fiona, if I've answered all the questions that you had. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jessie. I just saw a very interesting questions that asks about, how do I actually wash the microfiber cloth that being provided in the Prism system?
That's a good question. If it were me, I'd probably throw it in the washing machine. Um, I can actually check and see if there's any. I don't think there's any washing instructions on it, but I think you're right. I think probably just wash it like you would a normal microfiber cloth.
Yeah, just like the microfiber cloth that you use to wipe your glasses. Yeah, then you just wash normally. Okay. There is a question asking about I'm not sure whether you or Dr. Shelley can actually answer. It's about exercise. So in general, I mean, from our understanding, increasing exercise will actually tend to produce more free radicals, right? So, but I mean, one of the way to actually keep our Prism score, one of the attribute that we mentioned just now is also exercise. So, how would you actually explain this question?
Yeah, I can take a crack at this, and the Shelley has some ideas. But when we were working back on the S2 and the S3, we actually were scanning some people that started with the TR90. If you remember TR90 back in the day, and what was interesting, what we found a lot of times is when people started exercising, when they went from no activity to a higher activity, we actually did see a little bit of a dip at first. But then over time, as they started to lose weight, their score actually went up. Okay. And so you think about that, there probably is an effect of free radical activity in the body as you exercise. But as you start to actually change your body composition with long-term exercise, your score is actually going to start to go up quite a bit because the distribution of carotenoids is going to be much more concentrated, right? But Shelley, I don't know if you have any other comments on that.
No, I think that's great. And I think with exercise and oxidative stress in the body, I think it's a bell curve, right? Like you were saying, if somebody is not exercising at all, some exercise is great, right? Regular physical activity, and that's what our research is showing. But if you go to the extreme level and you're having, excessive exercise and you're not allowing your body to regenerate after that, you will have higher levels of oxidative stress, right? That can negatively impact. So I think it's all about balance.
Thank you, Dr. Shelley. Thank you, Jessie. So, leaders, I think for some of the questions that we are not able to answer you, we were actually having our local market to contact you personally. So let's just don't hold Jessie and Dr. Shelley because it is already 10 in the night time in Provo. So thank you once again to Jessie, Dr. Shelley, your explanation, your sharings is very clear and insightful. So we hope that we will be able to invite you to our webinar in the coming months. And leaders, after listening to Jessie, now I believe you actually get a clearer understanding on how to use the Prysm App with the app. Although I see some of the questions which is quite technical, we will answer you later on. And also, why is it so important to follow the best practices to ensure a more consistent Prysm score? Remember the 3P practices that Jessie shared just now. Okay, make sure you follow all the steps when you use the Prysm IO. Treat it like a scientific tool. All right, so use it properly and you will actually get a more consistent Prysm score, right? So leaders, you are our sales force. You represent New Skin with the purpose of empowering people to improve life. So let us continue this Scan the World movement, reaching more people, get them scanned with Prysm IO, sharing the knowledge about nutritional health, and our 6S quality products that support the nutritional wellness and the product subscription, and of course, the opportunity New Skin offers. So with your involvement and commitment, I think we can all together actually take New Skin to this 1 million healthy household in 2026 globally. And this is not an impossible goal. So as when you scan more people, get them on subscription, convert them to our brand representative, these are the 3 key pillars to actually achieve this goal. So this activity is actually not new for each one of you here, no? And in fact, you are doing this every day. So shall we actually set a goal today to just double your efforts? So for example, if you scan one person in a day, can you do 2? Or if you close a subscription in a month, can you actually do 2 subscriptions in a month? Or if you actually build 2 brand representatives in a quarter, can you do 4? So I challenge you on this goal. After this webinar, give yourself some time to just sit back, think through, set your goals, send to your upline, send to your account manager, and let us motivate each other and monitor each other to achieve the goal that you set. All right. So can you do that, leaders? Let me know by typing 111 into the chat so that I want to make sure that you actually listen to me and you actually get prepared yourself with setting the goals to increase the scan subscription and of course to build more brand representative. Okay, keep coming, leaders. I want to see you are actually ready and take New Skin to this 1 million healthy household in this year, by end of this year, globally. Thank you so much, leaders. Thank you so much for all your efforts, your time spending in our webinar for today. All right, so to wrap up for today's session, I will actually want to invite you to our next Prysm Ambassador webinar on next Friday, 13 February, where we'll be having Dr. Jo Cheng, our beloved Dr. Jo, and one of our Thailand leader, Ms. Golanya, to actually talk about the Prysm IO opportunity. So remember, mark your calendar next Friday, 13 February, and enjoy us in this webinar. I hope I will see you there, all right? So we have come to the end of our webinar, and like I mentioned, for you that send in the questions to us, I apologize if we cannot actually answer this during the webinar, but we'll make sure we'll reach out to you personally. Okay, so again, I want to say you are our Prysm IO ambassador, all right? So set goal, move forward. I'll see you in our next webinar. So wishing you a great day, and of course, not to forget to set your goals. It is important. Thank you, and see you next week. All right, bye-bye, leaders. Bye-bye, Jessie, and bye-bye, Dr. Shirley.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.